Welcome back, everybody, to Unconditional Surrender in Europe, game designed by Salvatore Vasta, published by GMT Games. This is the German Diplomatic Disaster series. We are getting ready to go into June of 1944. The weather is poor in the mild zone, fair in the cold and the warm zone, and away we go. Nobody declared war. We go into economies. The Russians are still at 56. The British now, I believe, are at 36. And the Germans are at 28, but they give one to the Hungarians, so they take 27. And then we go into, strategic warfare. Again, it's 0 to +4. The Russians did not have a partisans. So we just roll dice. Germans only rolled a 2. The Germans are at +4, so that means they'll get a minimum of a 5, which means the Germans will lose a factory. And then we go over to the other one. We're on +2 to +7. And they chose not to play their partisans. And I rolled a 3 + 2 is a 5. At +7, the worst you can get is an 8, which means I lose a factory. So we go to strategic movement. I'm not sure what I did here. I think I did one. 32. The wonderful garrison unit sitting outside of Budapest. And he goes into Brest to prevent an easy invasion there. Now that he has this Gibraltar guy in Plymouth, he could just run over and grab the port. So I wanted to keep him from doing that. The West, I don't think had one, and I don't think the Soviets had one either. Go into the operations phase. He thought about moving the 9th up there, and he's just like, it's just going to get surrounded and killed, so he didn't bother. And then I activated the this is my grand offensive in the West. It was a good idea. Attacked with these 3 guys to try and get the 5th to have to retreat. I start off at 3 for the armor, +1 for each buddy is +5, -1 for the weather. He started off at +2. And then we go to combat commitment, which, to no one's surprise, everybody commits. So on we go. I throw an airplane. He throws. I don't remember. I think he's throwing the 12th Air Force. Keeps putting sorties on before he rolls the dice. And he also threw free forces, and I threw tanks. So we go to the combat. He's at a net -1. I'm at a net -4. I rolled a 4 - 4 is a 1. Rolled a 3 - 1 is a 2, so he only took 1 sortie each. So then we go back to the combats. I'm 2 for armor, 2 for German, 1 for armor, 1 for a buddy, 1 for a buddy, 1 for a tank, 1 for an airplane, -1. So I'm +6. And he starts off at +2, +1 for free forces, +1 for airplane, +6 to +4. I rolled a 6 + 6 is a 12. He rolled a 7, which was just a retreat. Would have been nice if he would have rolled a 1. Then I could have flipped him, but that was too much to ask for. So I got him to retreat, shoved him back into Le Havre, took the hex with the Panzer, and then My tank goes back. He rolls a 5 for the free forces. Then I activate the infantry and the Hungarian. We go after the 7th. I'm starting off at +2, +1 for the Hungarian, -1 for the weather. Where are we at? And he's at a +2 to start with. And again, it's combat commitment, but to no one's surprise, we both commit. So I threw in my airplane, he threw in his. It didn't matter because he couldn't get a DD on me, so I took a sortie and he took a sortie. We also threw ground support, and then I threw my heavy artillery on top of it. So I ended up at +2 for German, +1 for Hungarian, 1 for ground support, 2 for the heavy artillery, 1 for the airplane, and then -1 for the weather, so I'm +6. And he gets an extra +1 for the airplane. Now, +6 to +3, if I can force him to retreat, the mulberry will be eliminated because I will take the hex. That's why I'm trying to do this. If I can push him back into Cherbourg and Le Havre, it's harder for him to do his breakout, and maybe I can contain him for one turn. That was my idea here. Of course, I rolled dismally. I rolled a 1. +6 is a 7. At his +3, I need him to roll a 1, which of course he does not do. So, and then my ground support comes back in 5 turns. My heavy artillery in 3. So that failed miserably. This Hungarian goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's just to simply prevent him from just running in here and grabbing Bordeaux, free port. Don't want him to do that. Want him to have to spend resources to go and take that kind of stuff. Then the paratrooper goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And again, it's more or less just to keep him from running around. I can't really stop him if he wants to keep going. And then this garrison goes 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, what am I doing? Oh, I hit him back, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ah! There we go. So again, it's just to kind of slow him down. I can't really stop him. And then I think... And I moved that infantry there because if he were to get lucky and get an elimination on Vaslov, then he could have tried to do a run up here to crap Dijon. This at least keeps him from doing that. He can run this way. I don't mind if he runs on the other side of the Allier and the Loire, but I really don't want him on this side of the Seine in poor weather. I want to make him have to work for it. Now I go over here and I pick up this garrison that's been sitting in Split forever and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Put him in Venice. Because then I'm going to move the 6th Army up to where that garrison that I railed away. He's just there to contain possible breakthroughs. And then this armored goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. To get him up to kind of give me some kind of a mini reserve here behind my line. And I think that's it. I'm done. I saved 15 again, so that I have a lot to build. I have 2 for that armor, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 sitting in there for sure to build, plus maybe some aircraft, plus I'm sure I have things on the board. I have like 1, 2, 3 on the board. That's 8 out of 15. And then there'll probably be some other people to be flipped, that he's going to flip over. So just trying to make sure I can keep my army in being. I'm not going to do too well on my air forces, unfortunately. And then I think we go into the west. So Western Ops. Starts off with the 7th. And he's going to go after the Hungarian this time again. So he starts off at +2. I'm at -2. He's at +2. Throws in an airplane, I believe, to put himself back up to +2. And then he rolls a 4 + 2 is a 6. And I oblige by rolling a 3. -2 is a 1. 6 to 1 is a DD, so the Hungarian is eliminated. He takes the hex because he's got people to bring in. Then he goes with a 5th after the German infantry over here. Throws a partisan on it first before he resolves the assault. And then goes. So he's +2. I'm at 0. So I'm +2 for German, -2 for partisans. And he just attacked at +2 by throwing an airplane. He's 2 + 1 is 3 -1. So he's +2 to my 0. He rolls a 5 + 2 is a 7. I rolled a 3, so I'm not flipped, but I am retreated. And just sets the partisan aside so he can use it here. And then he starts to pick things up and goes, wait a minute, I've got to get things out. So he takes the convoy that was in Le Havre. It goes to Plymouth, I believe it is. Then he brings in the 9th Infantry. Should be taking sorties here on these guys. Yes. Then he picks up his other infantry unit with the fleet. He took the American fleet that was on the Mulberry and sent it back to North America and brings in the 1st American Army into the Mulberry. And I'm not sure what he does with the British. I think he does something with the British. 2nd Army. He thought about just attacking and then thought about it and said, wait a minute, I want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And he was threw in an airplane, so he was 1, 2, 3, -1, 2, and 1 for the weather, 3. So it was 0 to 0. He rolled a 4. I rolled a 6. So Václav held again. And then he moved the 9th Army. He didn't like it sitting out there, so he went 1, 2, 3, 4. Just to try and keep me from being able to just run like behind the lines and do things to the Canadian, get it isolated or something like that. And I think he was just basically done. Now he flies the RAF forward. And then he takes that American, let's get this out of the way. Takes that American that had 4 sorties on it, puts it down in Catania, and then takes the convoy that had 0 sorties and puts it in Genoa, so that he can supply all these guys. Then he takes the 3rd convoy with the 3 sorties, and it goes to Plymouth. And then he takes a convoy that was in Plymouth, along with the home fleet and Gibraltar unit. So all these guys come into Marseille. Because he's escorting, I'm not bothering to intercept, because it's not going to do me any good. And so he's there. And then he did bombing. I could actually try to intercept here. We did do the counting, and one of the things that he can do, which you'll see right here, is if you count from Hull, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 to Dresden, and 18 to Leipzig and Berlin. So he gets those 3 without me being able to intercept. And then he flies the bomber command, I believe, into around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So he's going to hit Hamburg. And so I take my 1 shot at him there. At -3. He is -2 for the weather, -2 for a bomber, +1 for British, -3 to -3. I rolled a dismal 1. He rolled a 5, -3 is a 2, so we only took 1 sortie each. He gets his bombed marker in there. And then he flies another one into Hanover. I choose not to intercept at that point. There we go. And then he's pretty much done. I think he's just going to be doing supply. He does supply down here first in the med. I don't think he did anything else. I'm trying to figure out what he's doing. Oh, he's escorting his supply in France. So he did 1-2 with the Brits in Le Havre and 1-2 with the Brits in Cherbourg. And then he goes down here in the med and runs the British up a couple and the Americans up. He had like 7 units here he had to supply. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and he wanted to have them all in supply, so he had to run up those convoys quite high. Then I think we're done and we're going to Soviets. So here's the Soviet offensive in June. Poor weather. So he, assaults with these guys. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -1. He starts off at +4. I'm at 2. 4. And then he threw a sortie in 2, I think. Make him at +5. +5 to +2. And then he threw in a tanks to make it +6 to +2. And then he rolled a 5 +6, which is an 11. So rolled ridiculously high again. 5 is not good enough at 11. I'm flipped and retreated. He chooses not to take the hex, moves the first guards in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 for the river, 6, 7 for the city. 8, 9 for the infantry unit. And he starts off at 0. I'm at 0. He's at a net of 0, and then throws in his heavy artillery to make himself be +2 and throws in an airplane to be +3. So +3 to 0. This is us just counting it all up. Because he's -1 for the city as well. So he's -3 going in there. So he had, this guy was 2, an airplane was 3, heavy artillery was 4, 5, and then -3. So +2 to 0. He rolled a 4 +2, which was a 6. I rolled a 1, so not only am I retreated, but I'm eliminated. So I lost 3 will points and a factory. This is us highlighting his units that are fulfilling his 5-unit home defense within 3 hexes of Russia, so that he knows not to move them, and now he starts going after. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and attacks him with +1 to +2. How is he so high? He's 1, 2, 3. How the hell did he get up to a 4? Oh, I'm isolated. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 -1. +4 to +2. He rolled a 10. I rolled a 7, so I was flipped. And then he attacked with this guy at a net, starts at -1, throws in a tank to make it at 0, and then throws in an airplane to be +1 to 0. And then he's also got me isolated. So he's +3 to 0, rolls a 1, I rolled a 4, so I did not get eliminated. So yay for that. If that guy had gone down, you would have seen this guy go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He could have like totally encircled me and started just completely destroying the German army here in the northern German plain. So that was a crucial die roll. Now he came south again. I think he went after the Africa army, decided not to. Instead went here. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, minus 2. Should be starting at plus 3 to 2. I think he threw in airplane. Right, he was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then minus 2. So plus 4 to plus 2, and then tanks makes it plus 5 to plus 2. Well, 5 plus 5 is a 10, and I rolled a 6, so I finally rolled some good dice. And I held that hex. He does the 3 hex attack on the Panzer. 1, 2, 3, 4. Throws us plus 4 to my plus 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Should be plus. I think it's just us counting again. So it was plus 4 to plus 3. He rolled a 1. I rolled a 2. So I held him. And then there was this attack on this infantry, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 for an airplane. Minus 2, so it's plus 2 to plus 2. He rolls a 3. I rolled a 5. And then he moved his shock army to fill in the line. And then that shock army. Actually, he moved that infantry out this shock army up here. And that shock army down to there. And then he was done. So he broke through to Posen. He's got a breakthrough here. This guy's surrounded. I have very little. All my units are a little bit too far south, so now I have to try and shift stuff to the north. Not a good time for me. I was really hoping that I expected to be like retreated out of this hex into Posen, but being flipped and retreated and then him just outrolling me in both cases just was terrible. So this is me. We're in replacements phase. Because even though this guy's surrounded, he was in supply when this all started. So he's allowed to be replaced. So 1, 2, 3, 4 for the first para. And then 5, 6. So that's 7. And then I was done. We're in the Western replacements, which is, just kind of like he just takes things off. When he gets to France, he's got an escort to do his thing. Or he's just taking off his stuff here, doing his Americans. Flipped over his ground units that he brought in. There's enough points to take down just about everything, I think. We worked it out. He had everything, all of his fleets and all of his airplanes were replenished, and he still had 2 points left to build his 2 garrison units. And he, of course, does the Americans. How does bombers get? And, oh, we're doing Soviets. I'm like, where are we at now? We're doing Soviets. That was him. We were in the upgrade phase, And he had a regular tanks army here, and he had a guards tank army that he could put, so he just dropped it there. So there's 3 guards tanks armies here in the north. One in the center and one in the south, and then all sorts of guards infantry and shock armies everywhere. So he's set up for... now I think we're doing end of turn phase stuff. Yeah, I think we're... upgrades. Oh, no, we're doing production. That's right. So the Axis had 8 points left, and they spent them all. They went Panzer, 2 garrisons for 4. That's 5. And I took an airplane for 8. So I could have just replenished an airplane, but I figured, what the heck, I put a new airplane on the board. And I put the infantry unit over in the west. I put the airplane in Breslau. Panzer SS goes into Berlin. And I put a garrison over there too, in Vienna and there, because I figure I'm planning on seeing a big breakthrough here. And then he gets the first French army and the thing, and then builds his 2 garrison armies, the home defense in Southampton and the 10th in Plymouth. And then we go to, now we're to end of turn phase. So, so Germans get tanks and jets. Russians get tanks. Americans get their partisans right back. They rolled a 1 for their partisans when they used it last turns, which was very annoying. Heavy artillery, they get it. Patton gets to come in, and then the Russians get a Lend-Lease. So it moves to January of 45, and their factory count goes up another 1. So they're up to 6. So they've got 15 and 14 is 29. They have 58 points next turn. And we can take that out. We don't need to roll the weather because we know what it's going to be. It's going to be... because it's going to be July next turn. Everything's going to be fair. And we were kind of looking at... he was like, oh, I can run towards Berlin or whatever. And I said, well, I do have a 1, 2, 3, 4. I can get my Panzer to here, and then with the airplanes available and my jets, hopefully I can get 2 attacks at +5 to +5, and maybe get a retreat on one of them. And if I can outroll them, if I can get this guy flipped, great. If not, I can still plug the gap, so to speak, by bringing this and this up and around to sort of hold the line a little bit. And then the garrison's back for reserves, and I've got to shift the line some in the east, and I've got to shift the line here in the west, because I really don't have any offensive potential anymore left over here, and I don't have a lot of units. So I have to form a mini reserve and try and hold it, make the Americans have to, at least spend a turn to grab a few more ports, is the idea. And I think we're just screwing around there. And that's the end of that turn. Sorry about that. So, there you have it. That was June of 1944. Next time will be July of 1944. We'll see if the Russians and the West can take out the Germans here in the summer of 44. It looks very promising for them. Looks very bad for the Germans. We'll see how it goes. We're going to play it out. I'm going to make him win. Going to make him roll the dice and see if he can beat me in 44. If somehow I can hang on by the skin of my teeth and get a bunch of poor weather again, he might take him to 1945 sometime to take me out. But I really don't see myself being able to last that long. I only have 37 will left, so it's not looking good for the Germans. As always, I'm Jun608. If you like my videos, please subscribe, hit that like button so the algorithms for YouTube can keep these things up where everybody can find them. And we'll be back with July in probably August as well, if it lasts that long. Next time around. Until then, stay safe. Bye-bye.